Welcome to Season 7 of CX in the Wild. We're happy to have you back on the adventure with us again.
All right, today we're excited to have Aaron Fischer from OP360 joining us. Aaron stands out as an Ironman triathlete, and I think that speaks volumes about his dedication to strength and endurance, and possibly why his leadership at OP360 is driving success around the world. Our conversation today is about his journey and the intersection of sports, discipline, and customer experience excellence. Aaron, it's a pleasure to have you on the show with us today.
Dennis, good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you. You know, I led with that triathlete thing just because I'm a big fan of sports, and the Ironman, I think, speaks so much about preparation, discipline. It is global competition. I don't even know if it's about a global competition amongst other people, although it is. It's so much about a person's self-discipline. And what I do believe is that when someone has the discipline to train at the level, I think it has a lot of leadership or qualities, characteristics that make for great cultures when people are in those teams or businesses. So I'm really interested in, OP360 as a business because you're there. Tell me a little bit about OP360 and how this culture exists, and are you the only one is this focused, or is it something that's pervasive throughout the team?
No, that's great. And I'll answer that last question first because of kind of leading with example, being healthy and really always kind of promoting that a healthy body leads to a healthy mind, therefore leads to more of a healthy team and culture. You would not be surprised. Our kind of U.S. team has been known to make sure that we're going to bed early at the conferences. We get up early. We're always the team that's at the gym. We're working out together. We're making sure that we take care of ourselves just because it is an endurance sport. It's all day, meeting prospects and sharing stories and making sure that you're just top of mind and you're fresh. And so it's really kind of neat to see kind of that personal background of athletics and discipline really kind of lead into how, the leadership at OP360 looks at themselves every day.
I hadn't ever really thought about it this way, but I have this because I go to a lot of conferences. I'm always, and especially Vegas, I'm always fascinated about how strong the first day is, but how difficult the second morning is. And OP360 always is a standout to me because everybody's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to go. So for that reason, I often stop by the OP360 booth. I just have as a habit of getting content there because I know in my mind I can depend on them to be there early and we can get content and everybody's ready for the show. So I think that rings true to me. And I'll say for myself, I'm the same way. I go to the gym. I'm there early. I don't do the Vegas things. It's just a mindset, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of people are at some stage in their journey of health and fitness, and that's true, but it does speak to where you're trying to go. It's an intention. And OP360, you've been around for about 3 years now. You've been doing very well at growing your business around the world. Obviously, you have a strong intent and endurance. You want to be strong, but these are all adjectives I'm throwing out there. Can you walk me through sort of the beginning of your journey and training and where you've gotten to now?
Yeah, I will. I appreciate that. I've got a great history. Rarely do people find themselves getting into outsourced customer service right out of university. And so I had an opportunity to go work for a small little company out of Omaha, Nebraska called Sitel Corporation prior to it being a publicly traded company. And almost 10 years there, really, had the opportunity to learn operations and client services. Back then it was account management. Learning about implementations and global site selection. And so that 10 years were incredible for just building a foundation for me on what it means to be a third party partner, what it means to be able to be adaptable, because at the beginning of that 10 years, and the mid 90s, it was all outbound telemarketing. It was outbound sales for large corporations trying to gain wallet share back when you were able to call people at dinner time and change their telephony, their long distance, their cable, and their insurance plans. From there, had a great stepping over into Sykes, and so from Sitel to Sykes, and about a 13-year run there, and really they were a publicly traded company, still fairly small. And after 13 years, a $1 billion, amazing organization ran by Chuck Sykes out of Tampa, Florida. And that really kind of moved me more into sales and business development and much stronger kind of relationship development. And it was just a great. Those two obviously are now one company, Found Ever, and one of the top 3 or 4 largest in the world. Prior to OP360, I took a chance with a small company called Taskus in 2017. They were starting to come on the map because they were the first kind of outsourced contact center organization that really had a brand. And it wasn't a brand that was scared to be behind the scenes. It was out in front of the scenes. A couple of big clients like DoorDash and Uber, to where they allowed them to showcase those kind of up and coming California-based mega startups. And after 4 years, being there and seeing that go from a small private organization to a publicly traded company was just really amazing. So I took those 3 learnings and came over and became a co-owner and partner with my other 3 partners here at OP360. So just spent over 3 years. March 1st was my 3-year anniversary here, and it's been an amazing growth and ride. And I'd love to share a little bit more about it. But do you have any questions on my background or past?
Thank you for that background. I don't have questions about that, because it's clear that, that whole transition from the information age, the internet being born, the globalization of networks, which really opened up the door to different access to staff capabilities around the world. You clearly have a history that aligns you well to that. And you're at a great point. So, and congratulations on your anniversary. But 3 years ago, you stepped out into this outsourced world, which is now a global economy. People are doing it everywhere. It's poised to be, it's headed off to be over a $350 billion market. That's a big market around the world.
Absolutely.
And it's very aggressive. Thousands and thousands of BPOs sprouting up all over the world. And did you know there's almost 40,000 technology service providers sprouting up every year to service this industry? Right. So it's growing, it's competitive, it's complex, but you've been successful. So I'm curious, what are you doing differently that is helping you be successful as a BPO? You don't have to give away the secret sauce. Yeah. And I will tell you one thing I know you do that maybe you won't speak to right away, which is I've seen you at the shows. So I remember seeing you the first time, and I've been watching you at all the shows. You are very successful at branding. I think and here's what I think. Just at the beginning of this conversation, if anybody knows anything about fitness and conditioning, it's about discipline. It's about consistency. So your brand is consistent. And I think that's paying off for you, because everywhere you go, you're consistent. It's a reliably recognizable position. So you've definitely put your foot into the market, but it takes more than that to grow and be successful. What have you been doing the last 3 years that's giving you the strides and success over there's been a lot of other brands that have entered the market in the last 3 years?
Yeah, Dennis, thank you. I mean, what was nice is that Tim, our co-founder and CEO, had a very successful, smaller but growth organization when he brought on the other 3 of us. And so we had a nice template, and we had financial success that allowed us to step back and go, okay, if we have a semi-blank slate here from a BPO standpoint, how are we going to be competitive, stand out, successful, and who do we want to be? And those are not easy questions, to be answered. But we took some time and thought, all right, let's kind of build this new BPO from a position of what our prospects want, not what we believe, not what our background has told us, what our history has showed, because that's good learnings, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to forecast going forward. And so we spent some pretty significant time as a leadership group asking both our current clients as well as our prospects that we just had good relationships with. We were maybe in a selling opportunity or not, but just really have great relationships because of the time we have in the industry. And three common themes came out, of which was really turned into our kind of North Star. Our prospects really, really want a much tighter cultural assimilation and really much more tighter relationship between themselves, their organization, and our frontline agents. A lot of people say they want cultural assimilation, but there's another thing to actually design and be able to do. Second thing they said, it's all about high quality now. Back in the, a while back, it was a perception is if you wanted low quality, you're going to pay low price. If you wanted medium quality, you could pay medium price. If you wanted high quality, you're going to pay high. That's history. Right now, these brands are trusting a partner to engage with their customers day in and day night. And they basically expect an incredibly high quality organization and delivery. The third, everybody, and it's a continuation, is under cost and price pressures. And so, you have to be sensitive to their budgets, their ability to scale, and really their willingness to give a significant portion of their financials over to a partnership in order to service their customers. So we started with that and we said, okay, well, how are we going to do that differently than the 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 other BPA? First is, right now we've got about 5,000 employees and that's a very healthy, good growth number. But we only have 19 of those 5,000 in the US by design. So my previous companies have kind of fallen into the trap and I would, share that even some of the other ones where they end up feeling obligated to add a lot of positions, layers, and bureaucracy in the US. Well, that puts so many layers between the client and the front end organization and the agents, wherever the agents are, whether they're US based, LATAM's based, Filipino based. Those layers basically eroded and watered down the cultural assimilation as well as kind of the feedback between these clients and customers and our frontline agents. So we eliminated that. So we took those positions and we've taken those salaries and most importantly, we've taken the responsibility and we're hiring that leadership in the countries where our agents reside. The Philippines, India, LATAMs, they have been experts in servicing US customers and US clients for 20 plus years. So we're hiring that leadership and expertise in those countries and removing all of those layers in the US. So that's number one. Two is because I'm taking that savings and those dollars from the US, I'm hiring above market from a salary, bonus, commission, and investment in all layers of the organization within the Philippines and India and Colombia, and basically hiring the best in market. So therefore, my quality comes out of the gate quicker, Dennis. My speed to proficiency, my speed to CSAT, NPS, whatever the guiding light is on productivity and quality, I come out of the gate quicker than my competition because I've hired the best in the market. That's the second. Third is because I have that small US leadership group, I can take all of that savings in these countries that we're delivering from, and I can actually price at or below market because I know, the price points in most of these markets. I've been doing this now 30 years. So I can price below market. It's a high quality output and productivity team, and it's a really close, tighter cultural alignment and assimilation between the two organizations, just purely of how we've designed the organization. We started that 3 years ago. We started with a consistent brand, high quality performance, hired the right people. And here we are, 50 clients, 5,000 dedicated frontline agents, and there's no stopping it.
Fantastic success story. And I like the methodology. Let's take that. Let's get underneath that a little. And on this show, if I ask you anything that you don't want to get into, just say pass on the question.
No problem.
But here's what I heard you say. You said better quality, lower price, a lot of those things that a lot of people will say. And you have some success metrics about scaling, which is important. and I hate to bring it back to athletics, but you know, a lot of people will want to get to a certain weight or a certain strength level, and they miss out some underlying principles like progressive overload, as an example. In order to train your body to adapt, you've got to increase the level of effort that your body has to produce if you want the body to make the adaptation. So you can say that we can get higher quality with lower price. You can say that, but there has to be a progressive overload of something like training to inside the organization that allows that transformation to happen. So do you have a methodology? What is it that is underlying, that is creating this adaptation of your business that ensures that you create this match of quality and price for your clients?
Yeah,
can you talk about it?
Absolutely. No, it's great. And you're exactly right. I mean, the first step, if we're using a little bit of the sports analogy, is making sure that you recruit and put the right players on the field. And because of our organizational design, I'm able to afford and go out and methodically put the best players at all areas: agents, team leaders, quality, trainers, workforce management, BI analysts in these markets where we're actually delivering and servicing, because I'm out there recruiting and hiring the best because I can afford it. That's number one. So you got to get that, that playing field stacked. And that's what helps us out of the gate.
Can I jump in there? So I'm curious, your other two partners, are they also athletes?
They are.
Okay. My other question is, are any one or all three of you avid sports watchers? Do you watch sports, soccer, football, or any of those?
I mean, all four of us, like I said, I'm kind of the endurance triathlon. Tim's the basketball player. Ben is the power lifter. Dave's his like scuba diving, wake surfing, like anything water related. So you're absolutely right. Like, it's just part of our DNA.
I see it, because your part of your ethos is the for lack of a better way to say it, the professional sports team approach of recruiting to win the season. Or so you see yourself, I'm not putting words in, but in some ways you see yourselves on the field against the other BPOs, not as a business delivering outsourced services, but you see yourselves as a team up against other teams on the ladder trying to win games.
Absolutely.
I see. So you're recruiting players. I see. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, it really is that way. So we start with the baseline of, I would say, a better group, a better team on the field. We have a mantra here: no soul crushing clients. We've got to make sure that anybody that we choose to do business with, Dennis, our North Star is that client has to care as much about their customers as I feel about my frontline agents. When we have equilibrium there, it's going to be a fantastic relationship. It's going to be long-term. We're going to get through challenges. There's things that are going to come up, and we're going to both reinvest in each other. But if that equilibrium's out, it just isn't working. So it's one of me putting the right, players on the field, but two, it's making sure that the game we're playing is one that's set up to where it allows me to provide amazing career path for my team, an amazing reinvestment in their education, the ability to build and really staff beautiful contact centers with all the right amenities, because it's a hard job. It allows me to say, okay, you now on your resume don't just necessarily have OP360, but you've got all of these other brands that you've serviced through this position that can help your career and wherever it may take you. So, we really look at our, our company as, an ability, a place where we are creating so many really exciting opportunities. We hope that they stay with us, but if they don't, they're going to leave us with everything that we can do and give them in order for them to be successful, because we firmly believe what you put out there, you're going to get back. So that's kind of like the basis.
I love that you're good to your people. I'll just tell you this. It's easy to say what you said. I have been in a couple of instances in my life where I've been faced with client relationships, and I don't know if it was the generations before. I don't know if I'm just have a millennial mindset, but I've been in relationships where clients have been a little bit irrationally demanding people on the team for whatever financial reasons or otherwise. And I've just had to say, hey, we're either on the same team trying to get to these objectives, or there is a different kind of relationship here. And if it's this other kind of relationship, we've got to stop now because it's not fruitful for either one of us. And unfortunately, no matter what transaction we do, it won't be good long-term for either one of us. So I've had to resign the clients and to protect the people, the team. It gets back to, it's a team sport. We're all on the same team or we're not. I love that you're embodying that. So having said that, sounds like your whole leadership team and in fact, you have, considering how large you are, you have a smaller leadership and coaching team. It sounds like you're all very well aligned. You have a coaching team sport, championship mentality culture, and you great teamwork. Okay. But let's talk about the technology, and because as I mentioned, there 40,000 international technology emerging players every year is a lot. And keeping up with the number of tech choices, the solutions, managing that on behalf or in teamwork style with your clients, is there anything you're doing there that levels the playing field?
Absolutely. I mean, and you're right. It can be overwhelming if you allow it. It can be overwhelming as a BPO partner. It can be overwhelming as a client. It can be overwhelming on a number of different, avenues. And you're exactly right. So, I have existing clients who come to us, OP360, and say, I need your help to vet the 40,000. They may not use that number, but vet all of the technology companies that are coming to them saying they're going to solve all of their problems and issues. And these are big clients that we have. I would say very sizable and incredibly smart, IT resources, IT leadership, but they don't have the bandwidth, quite frankly, to vet all of these new providers that may or may not have AI just because they put .ai at the end of their URL over the last 24 months. And they're looking to us and say, help us together. So that's kind of one. And also two is, we always know that our strength is human interactions in a very capable, technology-driven contact center seat, either work from home or in center, but really, technology-driven. And so it's on us to continue to say, what has the technology changed lately that allows me to provide a higher quality, as we talked about, but still keep costs relatively flat or even down based upon the savings. And so here's our approach, Dennis, is a couple of things. We are finding that our clients have already bought certain software packages. I won't name them. They're all, you would name them and you'd know them. But what we're realizing is we're underutilizing them.
Yeah.
And so what we're saying and what we're providing is coming in and saying, hey, you have this QA software now. It's pretty powerful. Allow me to work together with you, client, and really extract all of the value that you're already investing in that, whether 100% QA and all of the stuff that happens within that new package. And so we've now become more of a trusted partner because we are maximizing their investment on the technology that they've already invested. And that can come through a number of different, not channels, but workflows, if it's QA or if it's workforce management. We obviously live and die by being very intelligent around workforce management. But many times my clients have already invested in the WFM platform, but we're finding that they don't have the expertise or the knowledge to really extract the goodness out of it. And that's really on our shoulders to make sure we maximize that investment. So that's what they bring. Second part is again, they don't have the ability to go to a CCW Vegas and go through, 3,000 booths and figure out, if 80% of them are SaaS providers, which ones are incredibly great, real, tangible, flexible, and can add value to their company and their customers. And so that's on us. And so we have spent 3 years plus vetting what we believe is the strongest providers in recruitment, the strongest providers in training and LMS, the strongest in QA and analysis, the strongest in operational agent assist, the strongest in Power BI, reporting, which is, Power BI and reporting, the best in workforce management, the best in InfoSec, in monitoring. We've done that homework. We've got an incredible strategic partnership group out on our website that has it sorted by their expertise. And now I can actually bring those solutions really quickly with a lot of confidence right into my prospects and my clients, and not necessarily step out of the way, but make sure that expert to expert within that particular kind of software gets, sourced, implemented, and truly enabled. And so that's kind of the part 2. Part 3, Dennis, is that, we have to take some risks as an organization. And what I mean by that is we have to go out and purchase some of this new incredible software into our existing client base, whether it's in the front end in recruiting or back end in InfoSec or somewhere in between. And we've got to create our own data set. We've got to create our own case studies. We've got to create our own, these are the positives and these are the negatives, so that we can continue to be more of a subject matter expert and really kind of answer that cry of help that my clients have of just help me put some of this new technology in place. Does that make sense, or any thoughts?
It makes total sense. You've vetted a lot of different solutions and come to some best practices. You have these partners. You obviously have a process to test and learn as the new technology emerges. I guess my question is, and again, Aaron, this market, a BPO of your size and your caliber, in your performance level, you want to grow, and you want to grow with probably big existing brands who want your level of performance. While you do have price as a benefit, performance is really, the mindset of your culture. The big brands, the existing brands, they have big call centers, and they're really entrenched, whereas startups don't typically have 500, 1,000, 2,000 seats right off the bat where they need service. So if a bigger brand, let's say they have 1,000 seats or more, they're looking to improve their performance, which we all do, that's a given. It's not easy to make the switch over. It's really actually nearly impossible. Some have done it with you, I'm assuming. What does that path look like? I mean, how does that even work?
No, that's great, Dennis. I mean, we have 2 very distinct, very successful go-to-market sales strategies. And it's not us overly brilliant. We thought of these. It's really, again, we ask a lot of questions. We do a lot more listening than talking, which is pretty hard for salespeople, including myself. And so, the 2 different kind of go-to-market strategies. One is, like you said, smaller mid-sized companies, Series A, B, C, started to get well funded. They're going to scale quickly. They've built an incredible product service suite, and they're starting to say, we're going to invest in more marketing to add customers, and therefore we're going to invest in customer service, CX, whatever the right nomenclature is. And that's where we come in, because we are, a full managed service. We can say, it's not about you saving money. You will see that your CFO will be very happy based upon your 1 FTE versus my 1 FTE. In order for me to help you grow and scale, it's really our flexibility of quickly creating a recruiting software package or a recruiting diagram that says this is what the job description and workflow needs to look like. Don't assume a small to mid-sized company has that baked and built and pressure tested. Give me your training material. We're going to have to take that training material, and do we have the right material? Is it in the right format? Is it the right length? And what is the right delivery mechanism based upon the job description that we wrote? Back into quality assurance. What is your QA framework? Are you want to be a CSAT organization? Are you wanting to be an NPS? Is there certain things that is important for you to judge and to value your relationship with your customer. So, we have done incredibly well by being a growth organization, aka a little smaller, growing into a medium-sized, partner, but full managed suite to take these companies who get a little paralyzed. They're high growth. They've got a lot of chaos, and they need to provide a better CX, organization for their customers. So that's one that's been incredibly, good to us and good to them. The second, and this is the fun part, because I came from, Sitel was small, then it was multi-billion. Sykes was 200 million, multi-billion. Taskus was about 75 million, and it was 550 million when we took it public. So I have seen small to very large. Right now, a lot of these large brands who have typically and historically worked with big box BPOs, we are seeing a lot of opportunity, what we call the challenger to those champions. We bring in, like I said, a willingness to be incredibly flexible. Our contract terms are very mutual. We don't live and die in invoice and change orders. We have an ability to start a program for one particular line of business, and that changes on the fly, and then be able to change that over to something different without stopping, the work. And we have seen a big portion of that 5,000 individual growth, company growth, purely on being kind of that new challenger against some of the biggest in the world. I'll leave you with this. Right now, we have 9 different industries that we focus on. Some are a little bit more strategic and some are a little bit more opportunistic, because you can't be fantastic at everything. But right now, Dennis, we have 9 clients that are arguably considered the number one company in that particular industry. And they're trusting OP360 24 hours a day to interact with their customer. That makes us incredibly proud because of the trust. It's 9 number one industry giants in 9 different, very recognizable industries. And you would recognize all of these brands, and they are allowing us to work with their customers day in and day out. And what's pretty crazy is 6 of those 9, we're competing against the big box BPOs, the TPs, the Aloricas, the Concentrics, the Foundevers. And in here is, kind of a scrappy OP360 competing with them.
I'll just jump in because I like that, but it's not surprising because your mentality of championship performance, that whole ethos of it's conducive to that positioning. I want to jump in. I had a question. So
Please.
You opened my eyes about OP360 because when I see startups, venture capitalists, Series A's, and they're going to scale quickly, their VCs and people push down on them for performance so much. To have you positioned as a business performance, physical and cultural performance brand, that's so in line with that whole market. I've never heard anyone position themselves that way. So that's such a great opportunity and market to be in. So I love that story especially. And I think that my only question on that is, and feel free, is I do know that there are in that context, one of the things that's super helpful in that dynamic is using the voice of the customer to create market research feedback loop for the VCs and for the senior leadership team. Absolutely. Is that something that you build in addition to serving the customers? Is there a market intelligence performance accelerant that you can give to the investor?
And right back to, Dennis, really kind of that first pillar of how we designed and built OP360, the fact that we didn't feel obligated. We knew that it was not needed to have multiple layers of people in the U.S. between the U.S. client and a frontline agent. Because we've eliminated that, the true formal feedback is amazing in how we collect that, share it, articulate it, and we do it real time during dashboards, 24 hours a day, weekly WBRs. This is the first BPO organization I've been to that we really have very defined and very smart weekly business reviews, not just monthly and quarterly. We go into monthly, that's still tactical, but then we really position QBRs, not looking back over the last 90 days. We already know. We've worked with the partnership daily. We've got the WBRs. We've got the monthly business review. Those are real strategic. Those are forward focused. And so we are collecting every touch point data and putting analysis against it, not just kind of feedback in, feedback out, like basically saying, okay, what is the voice of the customer is happening to process within my customer that's creating, downstream effects within their customer base? Meaning, is there a process change? Is there a product change, service change? Is there a pricing change? Whatever my company client is going through, they recognize that there's a change, but they sometimes feel a little disconnected in other BPOs because their frontline agents are so far watered down through so many layers that they don't understand what that impact has. And so because we flattened both of us together and we're really aligned, that information, feedback, and analysis is so much more dramatic and impactful and more precise than any other organization, because we've just gotten out of our way.
That's important to note, because so many times the supervisors will know what the problem is with the sales or the technology or the product, but it doesn't get all the way back to the CEO who has to explain it to the investors. And so, it sounds like you provide that.
And because of our mantra of no soul crushing clients, we can give them that feedback. We can tell them when they made a mistake in process. We can tell them if they did a technology change in the CRM system that now has removed some permissions within the frontline agents. It's causing, service, challenges. Like, we are so selective. And I know that sounds egotistical, but in order to build a company that has a culture where frontline agents want to stay their whole career and grow, you've got to be very sensitive and very protective of the clients and the work types you bring on. But that just feeds our mantra into, we can provide that feedback. We can get pretty open and honest about, the client's successes and failures, only for the fact that we believe that we're going to help them be bigger, faster, stronger, just like every sporting event. And we're going to take that right back into our own organization.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Do you want to touch on AI at all? What do you have to say about AI? I mean, everybody says everything. What's the one thing we should be talking about with AI?
I love it. Again, not dating myself, but it was phone calls, right? And then all of a sudden email came out and phone calls were going to die. And then chat came out and email was going to die. And then SMS text came out and email and chat was going to die. Technology is awesome in this business, like you said. We've really seen it evolve, and it's pretty amazing. What I appreciate about AI is I finally believe that we are at a point to really automate, not for the client, automate for the customer and the agent, things that we have been asking highly intelligent frontline individuals to do, and we shouldn't have asked them to do it. It's below their education level, below their experience, below their passion. And I finally believe, it was kind of RPA a few years ago, but I believe that a careful utilization of this AI can remove all of that simple stuff out from the agents and provide a quicker resolution to the customers without a live agent. That is phenomenal. Let's get these amazing people into work types and complicated communication and multi-channel, programs to solve bigger problems on behalf of these customers, because everybody wants that, needs that, and deserves that for their career. So that's number one. And I think AI finally is going to do that. And it's not a worry of, we'll lose some volume, we'll lose some frontline. It might be a minor dip, but what we will get in return based upon the interactions is going to be fantastic.
It just gets rid of so much of the tediousness of the whole thing.
And then two, here's what I like about it. Because we'll remove that simple tier one work out, it is actually going to allow us, those same highly educated frontline teammates and agents, to probably be more quality assurance minded individuals versus just tactical throughput individuals. And what I mean by that is these AI systems, although highly intelligent, and I see amazing real life examples, not just mock-ups and not just, projections of what it can do, but real life CX examples. But there's always going to be system training. There's going to be, is the AI system have the right intention? Did it come up with the right response mechanism? Does it have the right tone? And that's always going to be, and if you can ask anybody, that's a lot smarter than AI than I am, but that's going to be the biggest challenge. And so our agents, instead of just being tactical frontline throughput, they're going to be QAing the AI software. And the output of the QA, they'll jump in, fix, work, and deliver a better experience, multi-channel, to the end customer. And then they'll take that information and feed it back into the AI model. So therefore, the AI continues to get smarter. So we're incredibly excited about, because now you're taking highly educated employees globally and not just asking them to do simple things. You're asking them to really, tap into their brain power and be almost QA experts around both systems and CX process. That's going to be huge. Third is, there's just an amazing amount of savings. For instance, if we can get a client's program training from 3 weeks classroom to 2 weeks, their onboarding cost drops by 33% just on bringing on a new, employee and an agent. So, let's continue to make sure that if the end state is a better quality experience and a happier customer, let's make sure we're utilizing all the various modules of AI in the different departments of a delivery and in a CX program, minimize waste, maximize throughput, and actually have just a happier employee. And so I think it's incredibly exciting.
Yeah, it unifies the knowledge and expertise across all of the organization and the agents so much more quickly than we've ever been able to do by word of mouth or by other means. So I agree with everything you said. I want to be conscientious of your time. Thank you so much. Is there any other topic you'd like to bring up or you think we should discuss in our final minutes? I just imagine you have a hard stop here coming up. So
again, I appreciate the opportunity to share, how we've kind of organizationally designed and really built OP360. I really also appreciate the feedback you've given on the brand. That's not easy to do, and branding OP360. And that's not just the right colors or the right design at a conference. The brand are the people. And so you recognizing our energy level, you recognizing our show rate, you recognize the consistency in the messaging. You recognize that at the end of the day, it's human to human, whether it's our leadership to our clients or our frontline agents to the customers. It's a human, engrossed, business. And like I said, multi-billion. And so I just first wanted to thank you on that. But really, Dennis, at times we are so appropriately engrossed in our clients and their success. We're so appropriately engrossed. Wow. I don't know. I saw the heart. Yeah. So engrossed with our agents' success that at times it's a little difficult to step back and say, Dennis, with your global experience, with your outreach, with your ability to listen and learn from so many more organizations, I'd love, in the last couple of minutes here is, where is 2024 shaping up? What is leading into 2025? And what is the world according to Dennis?
If I had to speak to the BPO landscape, what I would say is it's going to be an interesting time, because the ability to spin up a BPO is getting easier and easier and easier. And I think, on the dark and evil side of it, you already see these scammer agencies spin up call centers out of nowhere with no supervision and no regulation. So I do think that there does need to be some standardization and regulation that will become introduced. Okay. I think that's as the need for call center agents becomes more and more, and AI empowers more people to perform the job. More countries and more places around the world will provide these services. I also think that you'll find that groups like yours, and I'm not just saying this because I'm here with you now, but as I've processed this conversation, I think you'll have two actual players. You'll have big players who have the ability to throw resources at solving problems to keep up with the change. Or I think you'll have performance-based organizations like OP360 who have a culture of endurance and resilience and performance. And what I mean by that is myself, I did a transformation. When I was about 45 years old, I was about 65, 75 pounds heavier. I went through the process. So I understand what it means to focus on performance. And so I think the things that you're doing, notably going in and recruiting players away from the other incumbents, that's strategic. Getting the right people on the field at the right time, getting the right relationship with the brands. I think the CX between the brand and the BPO, that relationship will play a bigger role than the cost, the location, or the price, or the language, that sort of thing than we've ever seen before.
No, I appreciate that. And I think, again, you have the eyes and ears of the organization. So, your expertise and opinions matter. So I appreciate that. And I know this will continue, but I'm going to leave you with this, right? So I got a brat, 4-time Ironman, and you're going to be a first-time Ironman because I need 5. I got to go for the 5th one. You're going to go for your first. We're in our early 50s and we're in great shape. So let's figure out, what that will be and what year, and you and I will work together and we'll train, probably virtual, but we'll get both of us to that finish line.
I don't know. I'm going to have to think that through. I gotta sit with that, but I love the invitation. Thank you so much for being on CX in the Wild. Thank you for sharing your story. And I look forward, because I know we're going to be covering a lot more stories about OP360. I appreciate the opportunity to be behind the scenes with leaders like you. And thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like to access other podcasts, YouTube videos, or join Dennis on other adventures around the world, be sure to connect with us at www.globalvoiceofcx.com. Until next time, stay curious.